Now playing on Netflix, The Hawk. From the mind of Will Ferrell.
Oh, mama, I'm back.
Comes a new original series.
Get ready. That's it. Did I stutter?
When an iconic pro golfer
Lonnie,
Podcast!
takes one last swing at greatness,
you were a big shot golfer.
I still am a big shot golfer.
no one
Dad, I'm the Hawk now.
will stand in his way.
That's how it's done.
The Hawk. Now playing only on Netflix.
Need a laptop that's built to perform and designed to last all day? Select Windows 11 PCs starting at $499.99 are now at Best Buy. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
On today's episode, we are cosplaying as, well, you're not cosplaying.
Expert.
Grey's Anatomy fans. As,
Oh, yeah.
a medical show
I love Grey's Anatomy.
armchair experts. Yeah. I love the music. I love the songs. I love the clips that I see. I don't love the digging around in bodies.
And that's not even that big of a part of the episodes. Maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes. Too many for me. But yeah, we give you so much advice on this episode. We've got a massive age gap relationship, which you'd think that's the crux of the issue there. No, Melissa, what is actually the real issue in that relationship?
So the writer is in their 30s, but this person that they could potentially be interested in was their teacher when they were a junior in high school.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil too much.
Not too much, but just know that when we're saying that the age gap isn't the problem, there's a much bigger problem brewing. We also have a grandpa sugar daddy relationship.
Who's
and
broke?
Who's broke? Yeah.
A broke grandpa.
And what it means to transfer the funds from person to person when those funds are not yours.
And then we also have someone calling in about having endometriosis surgery, and we couldn't really give any advice because we haven't had it, but if you have had it, write in.
Please. And then for our personal lives, we talked about us going to doctors recently, and then I also got to share with Melissa my current absolute favorite pharmaceutical ad that I've been seeing on TV.
Oh, Lord. And I shared one that I also saw that reminded me of that one. So this is our last episode before our break, but you should still write in and call in. Megan, how should people do that?
Give us a call at 310-694-0976. International listeners, send us a audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Or if you're more of a written word person, just write down everything you want to say if it's under 300 words and send it to that email or fill out our form in the show notes.
All right, let's get into it.
Melissa giggled when she told me about these calls, so...
I wouldn't put giggle.
No, you giggled in a way that you were like, today's going to be a doozy. And I said, what way? And it was like a ha 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 ha.
Yeah,
so I don't know how to read that.
Hesitant.
It was a heh heh.
We'll see. I didn't read them completely, but I just got a little taste. So let's get into the first one.
Perfect. I just got a little taste too, and now I'm nervous. First up, 37, she, her. Okay, maybe the taste isn't as sour as I'm thinking. I'm 37, she, her, and I was in a committed relationship and married for 10 years, met at 21. My husband had chronic illness and passed 6 years ago, and I didn't think I'd bring myself to dating ever again after losing my best friend. Since then, I've moved to my hometown and began teaching at the local university. I have a PhD in comparative literature, and I've been working closely within the local literary scene as a creative. There's a man, 50, who owns a few local bookstores and partners with the university, placing us in the same circles often, so we've become good friends over the years. He went through a divorce a few years ago, and recently our relationship is quickly progressing. Only thing is, he was my junior high school teacher. We've kept up with each other on and off over the years since I was no longer in high school, and our relationship as pupil-teacher feels lifetimes away, and our connection feels real and worth exploring now. But I pause when I think about the fact that I always knew we'd end up like this because of the way he treated me as a student. He was the hot teacher, and as a student, I was adamant it was inappropriate to have a crush on a teacher, even though everyone else regularly objectified him. And I definitely found him to be handsome and his personality magnetic. I became his favorite student, quite obviously so to the other students, and this resulted in some slut-shaming directed towards me. I would really appreciate your thoughts on the situation. I just need some outside opinions before I were to dive into this relationship. Clarification, he asked me to consider a romantic partnership with him. This is not in my head like it was when I was a teen. Thank you both.
First, I want to say I'm sorry for your loss with your husband. Now, we're going to take the training wheels off here. First,
yes. And I think it definitely affects it, though. Like,
yeah, I do
you know
too.
what I mean? Like,
that ages
I think the grief.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say that, like, from the start, we are going to be harsh with you, but I want you to know that, like, that is not in spite of your grief. I think that this situation is occurring, also compiled a part of your grief.
Yep. So, you know how we feel about age gaps to begin with. So that you're calling in knowing how we feel about that. So, yeah. And I understand, like, you have been married and you lost your husband. So that, that does put you in a different maturity level than it does other people. But then when you add on that this person was your teacher, that it takes it into a different direction, because obviously he was being inappropriate with you when you were a student. Even though it seems like a lifetime away, it's giving you pause. So it's not really that far away, because that's still in your head. Not in your head as in, like your head is up in the clouds, but like it's mentally within you. He was inappropriate with you then. He's being inappropriate with you now because you were his student. You also, when you kind of contradict yourself, because you're like, it was inappropriate to me then, but I just pushed it aside. But now you're like, well, I'm still thinking about it, but I'm not thinking about it because it was a long time ago. It's still there. It's still inappropriate. So inappropriate that other students noticed it.
That's the key to me there. That's like a lot, because I would say as we age, we start to recognize relationships with like adults and people of power. We're like, oh, that wasn't totally appropriate. To recognize it in the moment and have your peers recognize it in the moment, I worry that I really truly think you've essentially normalized it. And you think that because you can identify it, that means it's okay and you're over it. And like, you know what I mean?
You're
like
not.
That you were not like, yeah.
That's still part of you. Those feelings are still part of you. And you said you always thought you would end up this way because of how he treated you in high school. That's inappropriate.
Yeah. This like breaks my heart because it sounds like you intellectualize. I don't want to project onto you, but I am someone who intellectualizes my problems, and I don't know how to not do that. That's like the hardest thing for me in therapy, is that like I can identify why I'm upset. I can identify all of these things, but like that doesn't do anything. Like that doesn't solve anything, but I can't get past that point. And I do think because you can identify that like that was not an okay thing and that was inappropriate, that therefore that means that like that either has been processed or that like you have coped with it, but you haven't. Like just knowing that it was inappropriate then doesn't mean what's going on now isn't inappropriate. You can't use that as a barometer of like, well, it's not that, so clearly it's okay. But like Melissa said, like it's still in the back of your mind. It's still not even in the back of your mind. It's still at the forefront of your mind in these interactions and like something that you think about, because like that's traumatic. Like it just is. And it also like ostracizes you from your peers. It creates an unhealthy dynamic with people your age. It makes you feel like you have to lean on older people. Like there are people who groom young people, and they don't even end up in a relationship with that young person. But that young person does end up in a relationship with another older person down the line, because the grooming has been like, they've been primed for that. They have begun to feel different from their peers in a way that they can only relate to someone who's older. And yes, I don't love an age gap relationship. You're 6 years post your husband passing. And if you had met another widower who was in their 40s or 50s, even this man's age, who you did not have any prior history with, that was like not someone who you had obviously a teacher-student relationship with, but also someone that you weren't working with currently today, 6 years after your husband has passed, I would be like, yeah, if you're having a hard time relating to people your age because there's not a lot of widowers your age, that makes sense to me that maybe the next romantic partner you would have, even if it's not long-term, is someone who's a little bit older, just because statistically they're more likely to have that experience and be in the same boat as you. And I think maybe that is where your justification is coming in. And I want you to know that, like, I don't have an issue with that. I have an issue with the teacher aspect. I would also have an issue if you were like 6 months post your husband passing and he was just like, I'm in my mind, that age gap is because you need someone who you could relate to. If he hasn't lost someone or, the divorce, I understand that. But there are other 51-year-olds who are divorced who you could date who were not your teacher.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like, if you want to, if the barometer's divorced, you can find 40-year-olds who are divorced. You can find people closer to your age. You're not connecting over the fact that you're both widowers and grieving. You're connecting over the fact that, like, he's at to you, a more similar life stage than other people your age. But the issue is that he also watched you through those life stages.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really disgusting. Like, point blank, that's really, really gross. And I think you know that. And I also think that this is, not only do I think that this is a little bit convenient, where I would say good dick doesn't fall in your lap. Like, the most convenient, most like, oh, okay. Like, friends to lovers, all of those sort of tropes and things. But something along the lines of, like, yes, sometimes the best things happen when you're not looking for them. But if that's the case, I don't know. I'm a big believer in, like, you seek out other dates. You seek out going out with other people and interacting with more people, not just, like, the one who has pursued you or, like, the one who is, like, really going for you. And if you're not in the mindset of dating or anything like that, you're not gaining that experience. You're kind of just taking what's putting the most effort in. And right now, his effort is just so happens to be in the same circles as you, like, working in the same place as you. And I also wonder, and this is like not, I don't want you to take this by any means of that this is like something intentionally that you're doing or this is like any sort of cause of your own. But I also do wonder if subconsciously, you mentioned that, like, losing your husband, like, you lost your best friend. I wonder if there is a subconscious aspect of, like, there's a familiarity of this teacher that is not just like a romantic connection. It's someone who you feel like you have known for a lot longer than you would if you went on a blind date or an app date with some other person. That there is more history there, and you lost someone who you had a ton of fucking history with. But I think, like, the best thing to do is to embark on, like, first page number 1, chapter 1 on new, fresh things with people, as opposed to seeing this as, like, well, this is someone who, I have this long history with. Unless you get really deep into, like, actually explaining the history you have with him is problematic, like, is deeply problematic. And I think we can look at teachers like our friends and all of that. And I think there's layers to this, the same way that there were layers to losing your husband, who is your best friend. So there's layers to this relationship, but these are negative layers. And he's so wildly inappropriate. And I also, just to take you out of you, like, thinking about you for a second, teachers that are inappropriate with one student are inappropriate with other students. And condoning that behavior, even 20 years down the line, is condoning that behavior. And you might be embarking on a relationship with someone who is, like, a lot of other young women probably hold some trauma around or have had, like, very uncomfortable realizations about. And sure, is that a risk of dating a man? Yes, of course. But, like, he was never a good teacher and never a good guy, and he never learned anything from this. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that, like, I personally don't believe being inappropriate with students is, like, a learning behavior, like, something that you can, like, I think you can reflect on. I don't think you should ever be allowed to be around to teach kids again. I don't think that's, I'm not, like, death penalty, but I don't think that you should be given multiple chances to not be inappropriate with kids. I think,
Right.
You should be separated from, you shouldn't be able to work in that field anymore. But he also doesn't see anything wrong with what he's done. And to me, that's a power dynamic that you don't want to embark on any sort of relationship with. And it's deeply inappropriate. And I think you know that. And also you deserve so much more than this. You've been through an immense loss and so much grief at such a young age. You deserve a relationship, whether that's friendships, whether that's relationships with family, whether that's romantic ones. You deserve ones that like only bring positivity and light and love to your life, because like you've dealt with a lot very quickly and very young. That doesn't mean that that's like your destiny, that you then will forever be in relationships that have difficult beginnings or difficult endings. And I just think that like you deserve so much more than this.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it can be hard to see, but this man is a predator and he has been waiting for his chance to make his move, especially like he's the one that said that he wants to have the relationship with you. Again, your friends and peers saw this when you were younger. You saw it too. You thought it was odd.
Because he wanted
but
you to
pushed
see it.
Yeah, and but you also pushed it aside. And now he's into you said that you've kept up on Facebook, which that should never have been done, but it's been done. And now he's been sitting and waiting for his opportunity. And you're in a vulnerable place right now.
Yeah. And I know you work at a university and it's different, but just to be totally honest, if I was an admin at a university and I found out that like one of my professors was like dating their middle school teacher, I would feel a little, it's blurred lines within academia in a different level of academia. Or to your students, you wouldn't want your students like that. And then, I don't know, I also think that like, if I say to you, well, if you had kids together, what if your kid was dating this? And if your response is like, well, we wouldn't have kids together. That doesn't, if you know it's a problem, it's a problem.
Your niece, your nephew, anybody, any child, any 16-year-old that you can relate to.
Yeah. Or like, I don't know, that like you're going to be, you said he works in like a bookstore and that's like, you're looking over your
bookstores. Yeah.
Yeah, you're reading into every interaction he has when like you see someone, a middle school aged person who looks like you did or looks the age that you like, you will think about it all the time, and you should. And he is thinking about it all the time in a very different way, and it's just like really, really gross. And yeah, like gross. I wouldn't even work with him. Like I would do everything you can to separate, and if that means like telling a close friend of yours that this is like he's like reached out for like a romantic relationship, just so you can also have someone in your own life who's like, that's really fucking gross, or like a colleague of being like, hey, can we swap this? He was my teacher.
Right. And what are your friends saying? Do they know? Because you're saying that you wanted an outside opinion from us. So have you already spoken to your friends about this and they're like, no, and you're asking us, or they're like, yeah, this is cool, and now you're asking us because you already know what we're going to say? I don't think anything we're saying is surprising.
I can't imagine it is. But yeah, you deserve so much more than this. You truly do. It's never the last dick on earth. Like there are options that aren't even good options that are still better than this man. You know what I mean? Like there are men who are not great men, but are better than this man. And then there are also like very good men out there. And so I think if we're going to settle, we can settle for someone who's even better than this. But you don't deserve to settle.
All right, we're going to take a break. All right, we're back. And we'll get into the next one. Trigger warning: alcoholism. Hey, Eminem. So my mom, 53, she, her, and my aunt, 33, she, her, are not talking to my grandfather for now 2 months. So my mom and aunt would send money to my grandfather, a couple hundred, to help out back in his home country. Grandpa uses money for his cow farm that he owns. My mom has been sending him money ever since she got here at the age of 12, and my aunt about 5 years ago. Also, my grandfather, since the passing of my great-grandmother, has been sober for almost a decade and is in AA. He has been an inspiration to me as well as I've battled with addiction. So now here's the issue. So Grandpa is a rabbit. You can tell with the age gap with my mom and aunt. And now Grandpa has a new girlfriend who is my age. And this person is in their mid-20s. I can barely call it a relationship because he's pretty much her sugar daddy. My mom and aunt didn't know about it until my other aunt, who's living with my grandpa, told them. She also told my mom and aunt that the money that they've been sending him is what he's using to give his sugar baby money. My mom and aunt were pissed, rightfully so, and now no contact. It actually affected my grandpa that it caused him to slip from alcoholism. Now, I'm always going to stay on my mom's side, especially with him using their hard-working money to supply some girl they don't know. However, it's still heartbreaking with my grandpa's slip. So it's messy. I want to support my grandfather too, especially with his recovery, but I also want to be cautious with my mom and aunt as they were also affected by his actions. You didn't specifically ask for advice, but I'm guessing you want to know how to navigate this situation.
Mm-hmm. Can you imagine how
I
mad you'd be if you're sending, it's a sugar baby by proxy? Because also, what if they're not your mom and your aunt's type? Like, what if they had a different, you know what I mean? Like, they could, who knows, maybe they would have enjoyed the sugar, but there was no, you didn't run it by us, like, can we pick a girl? Like, this is more of my type.
It's not somebody your age.
Yes.
The same age as your grandchild.
I'm going to guess that's not your mom and your aunt's type.
Who is slightly younger than your daughter.
Yeah, that's, I can't imagine that's their favorite.
No, you called him a rabbit too. That's pretty funny.
I cackled.
Yeah. I think that the way to navigate this is to support your grandfather with his recovery, but don't tell your mom and aunt that you're doing it. And also support your mom and aunt by hearing what's going on. But don't tell them, don't cross line. Don't tell the others what's happening. If there are other people you can talk to, like a significant other or siblings that you can talk to, that it's not going to get back to either one of them, do that. That can be the way that you can vent, but you can have separate relationships with each group.
Yeah, I would ask yourself, like, what do you see supporting looking like? Like, how do you foresee what that is to, like, support him through this? Because there's a chance that, like, your aunt and your mom are angry, but, like, I would promise you that, like, they support him getting back into recovery and, like, consistently, even if they're not actively speaking to him or talking to him. And so I think that, like, laying out ahead of time, asking him, like, how can I support you? What can I do for you? What do you need? Because if it is, like, sending money and it's like, no, my sobriety is actually linked to having a sugar baby, and, like, if I'm going to be sober, you're going to need to send me money so that I'm going to have this because this is why I fell off the wagon. That is not support. That's manipulation. And I think that there is a way to, like, call him and talk to him a couple times a week, like, have, like, a video chat dinner, or just talk on the phone while you have dinner together a couple nights a week, or be like, text me, like, we can talk about, like, I don't know, mailing a book that you want to read and then reading it together, and you talk about, like, something along the lines of, like, forming a base of connection that's, like, a regularly scheduled thing to talk about and do all of those things with, that is just being, like, a grandkid. Like, that is just, like, being, like, loving and supportive, because you can't do more than that. Even though that you have your own experience with sobriety and all of that, you cannot be there for him in that way without factoring in the fact that, like, you're the grandchild. Like, there is like a other level of relationship there. And so if it's, like, connecting him with organizations there that, or like equivalent organizations that you know of that you've used here, that they have there, that could be helpful in this, like, support and community and journey. But I also would, I don't know if this, truthfully, I would also kind of steer clear away from any sort of conversation or bonding over this struggle with, like, addiction or substances or anything, because, like, that is not your weight to carry. Like it's just not. There is still like you can relate on that sense. Also a lot of the fact because it's hereditary, but like that is not something that you'll never be peers in like that kind of support. You can only support the way a grandkid can support. So I think just like being the best grandkid that you can be, like being that aspect of it, like calling, checking in, asking how he's doing and all of those things, and removing the sobriety aspect from it, removing the recovery aspect from it, and just like supporting him, because the rest of that is on him and his responsibility. And then on, you know, other adults who are not grandkids to have that encouragement and everything, because I agree that I don't think that you should be telling your aunt and your mom, but I don't think you should be telling them because they have their own feelings and their own journey with this. I think that you shouldn't be telling them because you are carrying way more. You're carrying way more than you need to. You're being like any of that aspect of it. I think it needs to just be from like a loving, supportive grandchild perspective. And I would do your best to remove the like addiction factor in that, because there's truly nothing you can do about that. And if this has made you, you know, realize that you want to support him more, then just support him. Just support him more. And you want to be a more involved part of his life, be a more involved part of his life. But there's nothing that you can do or say, or you can't support him enough to make him make any choices for him. So.
Yeah. Yep. I'm sorry that
tough.
you're going through this.
Yeah, me too.
This is a very hard thing to navigate, but just keep your relationship separate, even though that is hard too. All right, we're going to take a break.
And we're back. I got my coochie looked at yesterday.
How'd that go?
I don't want to invalidate. What?
Quick in and out?
Yes. And I don't want to invalidate anybody who has, I'm not even talking about like emotional, like trauma related aspects to this, but just like physiologically, like some people's bodies are just like, it's just different. When I tell you that like, and maybe it's because like I haven't had a pap smear. I've had like multiple transvaginal ultrasounds in between my last pap smear. When I almost said, "Are you going to start?" She was already done. Melissa, it was like I was trying in my brain to be like, feel it. It was like the same thing of like a LaCroix, of being like, oh, someone is eating a peach 3 rooms down. That's how it felt. It's like, oh, I have a memory of like having like a tickle in my throat one time. Like I couldn't even be like, is this physically, am I feeling anything right now? Or am I just like convincing? I don't think I felt a thing.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, the very first time I got one done, I was very nervous about it. And like the doctor sat me down before like we went into his office, and he sat me down and he talked me through everything. And then we went to the actual like exam room, and he did it. And I literally go, that's it. And he's like, yeah. And since then I've had several and I've never had any issues.
And I bet you that first one, and probably my first one too, was probably the one I felt the most, because I was just like nervous. So I was probably a little more tense. But this one, completely relaxed. Yeah, to the point where like I cannot. It was like if someone told me to like just like a memory of putting in a tampon that like I had like 600 years ago. Like that's like how distant the feeling was. I don't think I felt a thing.
Yeah, I got one probably like 6 weeks ago. I don't remember what it was. I know I was nervous because I needed to get a blood sample after that. That's what I was nervous about. And like I jumped a little bit, and she was like, "You okay?" And I was like, "It's not this. Trust me." And it was just because I was just lying back.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not even thinking about this. I'm thinking about what's coming.
Yeah, the actual pap smear, no recollection of that.
Yeah. So I can't stress to people enough that like, A, it's so important to go. It's so important to get them. The technology is so good now that if you have a history of having normal paps, you only have to get one every 3 to 4 years. And you can get them more often if your insurance covers it or if you want to.
Yeah. I prefer to get one every year just to
totally
get it checked. and I have access to do that, but like you don't have to. 'Cause
No,
there's
and like
also
you
other
can
tests that they run too when
yeah.
they use those fluids to run other tests like HPV and other
STIs.
STIs.
And I think that like, I don't know, I would just encourage everyone to go because knowing that like once you start, it's not like, you know, breaking the seal when you're drunk and you pee and then you're like, now I'm gonna have to pee forever. No, you can literally go one time and then it's not like, well, now you have to go every single year. No. You can't, but it's just get it done. Get it done. Get it done. Get it done. And I mean, she was so nice. I love like a genuine, this was a NP, like a woman who's older, she called me honey, sweetie the entire time. And I was like, I love it here. Like,
Yeah.
she goes, okay,
Mine
sweetie.
was like,
okay, hun.
Mine's like the same age as me, and we were just like,
I've never
taking a
had
shit.
that.
Yeah, we were just like talking about like and she sees me for other things too. So like, it was just kind of like, hey, saw you last week for this. Here we go.
I saw a review of Tia that it was like, imagine if you're like out to brunch with your friends and one of them's like, let me give you a pap smear. And I was like, that's so funny.
Legit
like,
how it was.
age-wise.
Yeah.
I've never experienced that. Like everyone, it's always been like older. It was so easy. It is crazy though that they don't start doing mammograms until you're 40. And I was that needs to change.
That is, yes, that it was earlier. They changed it in recent years, but I think they need to change it back.
Because like so many young people are getting, so many young women are getting breast cancer in their 20s.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, it's so.
And then if you're a person like me who has dense breast tissue and you don't know that until you actually get one, there are things that are going to get missed.
And like the fact that ideally they want to catch it at stage 0. Stage 0 is not a lump.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so like it's the self-exam and all that. Like, you know, I always check mine. I'm doing all that. So it's fine. But it was also so funny because medicine is just so fascinating to me because, you know, did the pap smear and then they do the, you know, the manual feeling around and they're pressing your stomach. She goes, okay, feeling for your uterus. And I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't say this to her, but I was like, girl, what are you feeling for? Like, because you can't reach my uterus. That's what I mean. Like, it's so crazy to have this like wealth of knowledge that you're quite literally going in blind. You've got fingers in my vagina and you've got your hands on top of my stomach and you're able to motherfucking identify the organs, the separate ones, and evaluate them from that. She goes, feels great. And I was like, awesome. I have no idea what that means.
If it doesn't feel great, then they know what it's more like. It doesn't feel off.
Yeah.
So, and if they felt around and they're like, "Oh, there's something different here," then
there's
that's
something new here. Yeah.
Yes.
They're like, we're just feeling for this many surfaces, and if there's more or less, then we have questions.
Or
but I was
bigger
thinking about,
than
like,
it should be. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was like thinking about like how you didn't watch this far, but in Paradise season 2, Shailene Woodley's character is like training to be, she's in medical school. And there's like, I forget what tests they're doing, but they're showing like them doing like the rounds or whatever with like patients. And they're all like being like, what am I feeling for? Like just basically being like, and I'm just imagining like the first time that you do that and like your teacher's asking you like what you think and like you're wrist deep in a patient trying to be like, and it's literally like one of those blind things where it's like, close your eyes. It's like Fear Factor and you're like squeezing things. Like, what do you think this is? And I'm like, that's just so, it's just, and like, you quite literally develop muscle memory of other people's bodies and anatomy. And it's just like not something how my brain does not work like that. So I'm always so fascinated by it. But it was great. So everybody go to your gyno. And I was in and out. My appointment was at 11:15. I was out by 11:45. The issue, guess how much my fucking parking was?
Why do you have to pay for parking to go to a medical exam?
Oh, well, you know that you have to pay for parking at the ER. You have to pay for parking everywhere. That's
ridiculous. It's more like a rhetorical question.
Yes.
Tia does. They validate, so you don't have to pay.
I mean, I'll be real. They might have validated, but they were so busy, and I was just trying to get in and out of there that like I didn't realize until I was already downstairs, and it was 94 degrees, and I was like, I can't go
I
back
thought you were
up.
about to say it was $94. And I was like, Megan, you needed to go back up. How much was it? 40?
$8.
$8?
It was like
Okay.
$2, $8 for 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's a Rick Caruso pricing. That is,
yeah.
And I felt so bad because my card wasn't working, and like Mott's had called me to ask me how it had gone, and so I'm on the phone with him, but I'm like not really talking because like I'm paying my parking and there's other people around. I don't want to like bother them, and my card keeps getting rejected. I finally have to pull out my other card, and I think there's like 2 people behind me, and I'm like talking to myself this whole time, even though Mott's is on the phone, and it's very clear we're not having a conversation. I'm like, oh my god, what's going on? Okay, I'm not. And then I turn around and I see all these people. I go, oh, so sorry. And they were like, it's fine. Because I finally got it to work. But I was like, oh my God, mortified. But then I was like realizing that I was not the most annoying person there because the parking lots at hospitals, the people who are driving these cars, I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm concerned you're having a medical event. You are one person just like sat in their car in the middle of the 2 lanes of this parking garage, one going up, one going down. They just sat in their car in the middle for no reason. Everybody's honking.
I hate,
and I was like,
not just like in a
okay.
parking garage, but when people do that on the street where they're just like in the street instead of, you know what, you can pull over to the curb. There's actually a lot of people that are parked on the side. You can
or use your blinker or your hazards. Tell me
but
what you're doing.
Like you don't even, in most situations, all they have to do is pull over. They just don't want to, or like when somebody's delivering stuff and they just park in the street, pull over. There's a curb right there. Pull over.
No, it was, thou shall not pass. And I was
that
like,
one is like, there's parking spots. Pull into a spot.
Pull into a motherfucking spot, or at least go into the one lane so we can get around you. But I literally almost got out of my car because I was like, are you having a medical event? No, it was like someone who was like maybe in their 30s. And I was like, and of course, they're always driving the biggest car you've ever seen. And I go, this is a weapon. And I think you're afraid. And that's fair. This is a very large car. I don't think we need this big of a car. It's not safer with you behind the wheel. I know the concept that big cars are safer. Not safer when you can't drive them. Not safer at all. And I was just like, it just makes me, especially in hospital parking lots, I get so nervous because like I'm always assuming, I'm like, oh God, are you having a medical event?
Something's
oh God,
happening. It's an emergency.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't park on the 3rd floor if it's an emergency. You can't even drive. Like something's wrong. Like leave the car running. I'll park it for you. Nope, she was totally fine. I think she was on her phone. I was like, and you just took the sound of horns echoing through a multi floor structure as like, oh, it's just like the background noise to my scroll. It was crazy. But yeah, now I have my other one end of this month, beginning of next month. End of August after my birthday. So love a gyno. Love
it. Love that you went.
You inspired me. I told you that you were doing all yours. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. I also love how like out of all of the medical practices I've ever been to, they're by far the most like supportive, like as like a whole, as a practice, that like they literally have signs everywhere and like papers that they hand you of essentially like what you can and cannot say in these appointments, which I don't know what they used to be called, well woman visits. I don't think they're called that anymore, but your annual to make sure that insurance will cover it for you.
Or preventative care as well, because it is preventative care. They'll call it.
Yeah, but so like you can't talk about any of these other, you can't talk about like essentially any issues. Like it just has to be what medications you take, your pap smear, all that. And like they're so adamant on it that like, you know, if you start accidentally talking, they're like, because they're like, we want to make sure insurance covers this because we also want to make sure you come back. If they have to charge you all this extra money, you're going to get pissed and not come back. So yeah, but I would recommend everyone give them a call. I know calling on the phone sometimes sucks, but initially when I went to make the appointment, it said the soonest one was October. And then I called and she got me in a week later. And I was like, oh, okay. Fuck my computer. They now are trying to do a study of, or pass it in different countries. They've officially done a study of accurate saliva testing for endometriosis.
Yeah.
But I watched this whole video of someone who works in the like biotech medical space and has like and has endometriosis and has talked to investors, American investors, about it, and they're not interested in it because the only way that it would work is if insurance gets on board. Because if insurance wants to do that, then that means that it will no longer be a diagnostic surgery. That's the only way you can diagnose it now is surgery. So it would like save insurance money essentially from people getting surgeries that don't have it. But besides that, they're like, there's no money in a diagnosis. There's only money in a cure. And I was like, oh my God, but if there's a diagnosis, then the number of people who have this, then you actually work towards it. But I was like, that's depressing.
That segues perfectly into our next person that's asking for advice. So we're going to take a break. And when we get back, we'll get into the last one.
Hell yeah. And we're back. This person is 24, she, her. Hi, Meghan and Melisa. Love the pod. I've been listening since the first episode. Well, thank you. This is my first time writing in for advice. I will be having, whoa, you are right. This was a perfect segue. I will be having endometriosis surgery next month and would love any advice you or any of other listeners have, especially for recovery and unexpected post-surgery occurrences. I've done a lot of research independently, but articles and research papers will always pale in comparison to real lived experiences for this sort of thing. If memory serves, I don't remember if either of you have ever disclosed that you've had this procedure done, but any anecdotal advice or don't blame thems on this topic is more than welcome. Thank you for creating such a wonderful, safe place through this content y'all put out. It has been such a comforting and consistent bright spot in my week over the last 9 years or so. 9 years? Damn. Looking forward to any feedback, and for any potential don't blame thems, please feel free to lay it all out there, very lady with the list, on TikTok vibes. I would love to be as prepared as possible. All the best. So nice. First of all, so happy for you.
Me too.
It'd be great. I've never had the surgery. So point blank,
Neither have
I've
I.
never.
But my mom did.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, clearly it was before I was born, but and also that was over 35 years ago. So, like, it's been a long time and things have changed a lot. But she's always happy to talk to people about it because a lot of people get scared. And her thing is
How long did...
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, how long did she have it before she had you?
That I don't know.
Okay. But she had it in when she was like adult life.
Yes, yeah. She was she was an adult. It was actually after my parents were married. So they got married. I don't even know when they got married. 82?
Okay, but yeah.
But like, yeah, it was, I know because she talks about how both my grandmothers were there with her while she had the surgery. And,
That's nice.
That's been a long time ago. And, she had it then. She's fine. She had 3 children after that. Mm-hmm. And they had told her that she never would have children. That's why all our names start with an M for miracle. So, like, I just want to give you hope. Like, there's hope. And also, that was a very long time ago. And so much has changed since then as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Matza's mom, too. Matza's mom got it without even, like, really knowing that was a problem when she had her after her first kid. Then it was like, oh, we figured this out, that this is something you're dealing with. And then had Matza after that, like, late, like, they're like 6 years apart. So it was like, oh, wow, this is... It is one of those surgeries that people speak so highly about. Obviously, there are people who will still have issues with it. But, I mean, the only anecdotal evidence I can give you is what I've heard from other people, which is, like, gas X, which, to be fair, is, like, the only thing that, like, I really worry about is, like, the gas part of it. Because, like, you give me gas pain, I am the biggest, like, there's nothing, like, I'm the biggest fucking baby. Like, and I also get, like, anxious about, getting constipated. Like, my IBS really controlled a lot by my brain, like, really controlled a lot by my anxieties and stress. But I think that, like, there are lots of people I know who follow me, who I assume also, a large majority of them also listen to the podcast, who have told me all about surgeries and everything like that. So I'm sure that you will get a lot of don't blame them advice from it. This one is completely
There's a couple people that are in our Patreon that have had it. So if they want to share, I'm not going to, like, say your name, but you know who you are. If you want to share, please give information.
Yeah. And this one is unrelated, but it's just like a surgery related thing that, like, I don't know if it's the most typical advice. And again, it's different because this was on my face. But I think that when you're recovering, focus on the act of the physical recovery, not the visual recovery. So, like, having someone who's able to, if you need, I'm assuming you're doing laparoscopic. So, like, any sort of small amount of, like, wound care that you do have to do or anything, like that, do that from like an analytical point and not like a let me like look in the mirror at my body. Let me look in the mirror. Even like the thing that also really freaked me out when I got my nose done is like when I was looking in the mirror, I could also like see that I was in pain, and that would freak me out. That like even if I'm on medication and drugs to like help alleviate the pain, I'm like holding my body in a way that like I'm uncomfortable. And you can't, it was like there was not a lot of mind-body connection I felt while I was recovering from that. Because you're on medication to like help ease the pain, but I can like physically see that I'm not to my normal self. And that like psychologically messed with me a little bit. I would just like say like, yeah, focusing on like the day-to-day physical aspect of healing from it, as opposed to when does that like light come back into my eyes? Because like it can kind of feel, at least for me, that felt like it could kind of feel a little bit like a spiral, again because of medication that you have been given during surgery and afterwards, that like everything's a little off. That like for me, focusing on like the exact moment and like all of those things was a lot easier. But yeah, and also I'm sure everyone will tell you this, but like lots of people recover at different paces. And that was something that like with my nose, I got a lot of people thanking me for like showing that like for some people it takes a lot longer to like recover from that. And there are people who like literally got their nose done and then went back to work a week later. And like there's no way I could do that. I couldn't even do it with my wisdom teeth. So like there's just knowing that like it doesn't mean that like you're not healing correctly or you're not healing well. Obviously look at signs for that as well, but like everyone heals at a different pace, and it doesn't mean that like it didn't work or something went wrong if you're healing at like a little bit of a slower pace than other people. But yeah, and pick some good TV shows, like a new series to start or something.
Yeah.
What's a good one? New Girl's always a fun one. Well, maybe you don't want to laugh too much. Do you want to cry? Watch Parenthood. One really fucks you up. Plot twist and like it. Yeah, I know. I signed up for it being like, oh, look, ensemble show. This is fun. The first 2 seasons, you're laughing. And then season 3, they're like, this is actually going to rip your heart out. And it did. Beautiful. Minus the Dax Shepard of it all. But, he plays a deeply unlikable character.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Best of luck. You usually say that. I don't know why I stole your line.
It's okay. We could just morph into one. That's why I sent you pictures of my feet, saying like, get the same shoes as me. They're really cute. I think you'd like them.
I
really
don't like to wear my toes out, though. I don't like them.
Yes, but so I didn't say this, but I specifically think that the square toe box, I think you would like it more because I have like big ass toes. You've got chunky toes. I've got long finger-like toes. Mm-hmm. And the square toe box of the flip-flop looks so much fucking better on me than like round ones. I find with a round sandal, I need to have more of my foot covered. I need to have like a good chunk of my foot covered.
Never have a round sandal on. All my sandals,
yeah, no, it's just like
they have a strap over my toes. I don't do.
That's what I'm saying.
In between the toe.
I need to have a good thick strap that like cuts off half of the size of my toe because otherwise you're like, oh my God, why are you walking on your hands?
Yeah, and mine is like I don't want my Tootsie Rolls out.
Yeah, it's a little vulnerable.
That's the only thing I'm vulnerable about on my body. It's my toes. Even though men love the toes, I just don't love them. I feel like I get more predators with them out.
Yeah, but you're protecting yourself.
Do you know how many people how many men tell me I have beautiful feet? Too many. That's actually might be why I don't like having them out.
I was about to say, Melissa, you're protecting yourself. Yeah. Like it's unwanted sexual attention. It is wild though because like I have no concept of like a foot fetish. Like I don't even know what a good foot is for that. You know what I mean? Like I guess it like depends on the person.
Yeah. I look at people's feet and I compare my toes to theirs and I'm like, yeah, okay, it's a foot. And then I'm like, whatever. Like most feet are disgusting. Most people don't take care of their feet. Like you need to put lotion on those things.
I don't know why people think
not
that
just when you go get a pedicure. Like this needs to be every day. Put some lotion on your feet. I'm very strong and passionate about that.
If you can hear the sound that your feet make when you rub your heels together, if you can hear it before you can feel it, there's a problem. There's a problem. Like you shouldn't be able to hear that. You should be able to feel it. You shouldn't be able to hear. It's like as a kid, I used to. That was probably the first sign that my parents should have known. Like this kid is neurodivergent, I had socks that I would call rusty socks.
No.
That like I didn't like how they felt on my feet because I was so adamant. You know me, I was washing my feet every day in the bathtub, putting lotion on. Like I cannot stand the feeling of dry feet. And there were socks that even no matter how moisturized my feet were, the socks, they felt dry.
I know
hated
exactly
them
what those
so
like
much.
Hanes socks from the
Rusty
90s,
socks.
2000s that would just get hard. And that's why I'm so also very passionate about my socks to this day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because why were you
Bombas
giving
has never
children
done
socks
me
that
wrong.
they had no stretch in them and they were not soft. It was like they were
only
like
have stretch
starched
in them.
socks.
They'd have stretch in them for like the first couple weeks and then they're completely stretched out.
Well, the issue was all my clothes were hand-me-downs, so I never even got to experience the first couple weeks of stretch.
Yeah.
Here I am getting hand-me-down socks. And also I had big-ass feet, so they were already too small, and then the heels in the wrong spot. Oh, my God. Miserable. It makes like give me goosebumps. One last thing I have to tell you about. I want you to go to, let me make sure I have the right website. Because you don't have ads on any of your streaming, right?
I do on Paramount.
Peacock?
And that's only just because I was trying to get caught up. Because I don't want to give them more money than I need to. But I'm caught up now, so it just reminded me I can cancel my Paramount now. Because I was getting caught up on I mixed
Young of Our Lives.
three different soap operas together. Young and the Restless and Beyond the Gates. I was getting catching up on them because I was months behind, but I'm caught up now, so I can cancel them and just watch them on my Hulu Live.
Perfect. So I want you to go to bentcarrot.com. And I want you to know that there is a 2-minute unskippable ad conveniently on the app Peacock that I thought was an SNL sketch that is in fact a real ad that they keep playing on our Peacock, and I'm floored. It is a 2.5-minute video of a couple sitting on a couch.
Oh, that ad is the ad's 4 years old.
That one?
That I just watched.
When you watched the one No. They've got a new one. And it is a couple sitting on a couch. And I'm like, are they talking about what I think they're fucking talking about? And what they're talking about is her husband's curved penis. And the ad directs you to bentcarrot.com, which is a medicine that you take that helps straighten out your dick. And on the website, they're saying it could be this disease. In the ad, it is purely cosmetic. It is just, I love that straight dick of yours. Remember when it was curved? That silly little curve. It was like the middle of the night. I had fallen asleep and I woke up to it and I was like, oh, we must be watching SNL again. No, this is a real ad. And I'm like, God, men can have anything. They also did the first study of topical, the topical estrogen cream. And everyone's like, oh my God, finally, like perimenopausal and menopausal women, like this will be great. It helps with labial atrophy and all of those things. Turns out they tested it for men. For something related to their ball sacks. And everyone's like, are you fucking kidding me? And I was like, wow. So yeah, it's a first and only FDA approved non-surgical treatment to help reduce erectile curvature. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And 94% of eligible patients should pay $0 out of pocket. What do you mean this is what we're doing?
I'm getting a lot of ads on TV for psoriasis commercials. And most of them are
Plaque
fine.
psoriasis?
Like on like skin, like on your, yeah.
Oh, okay. But, not the head one.
Not the head one. This is like body, like on different parts of your body. Like one is this woman going on vacation. She doesn't want to take off her swimsuit. She's like, everybody's looking at me. And it's like, nobody's looking at you, girl. Another one, I forgot what that one's for. But there's 3 of them that are in regular rotation. But one of them was like this woman with her man. And they're sitting and then they start getting intimate. And she's listing off the reasons why it's been interrupting her life. And then they're like about to have sex and he turns off the light. And she goes, and that was my last straw. He wanted to have sex with the lights off. She doesn't say that, but that is the implication of it. And I'm just like, wait, why are we getting horny on TV like this in a commercial?
I would have never guessed we were going to psoriasis.
Yes.
Because we also get a lot of psoriasis commercials, and it is most often the trope of, I'm uncomfortable, I'm shy, or I'm in pain. Never sex related. I would think it was a bent carrot commercial.
Yeah, and
I would think that's where we were going.
He still wanted to have sex, but she's just like,
your
the light
psoriasis
is
won't
where
stop
she's
you
like,
from
I only
fucking.
want to have sex with the lights on. The light is where I draw the line.
I'm like, okay. Well, by the way, girl, you would also have sex with the lights on with your psauriasis.
Right.
I
No,
also don't
he
know if that
turned it
man
off,
was-
so she felt like that he was
she
not
thought it was
into
because
her
of her
anymore.
psoriasis.
Yes. Because
Maybe he's a
because I
bent
think it was
carrot.
her husband. So I'm guessing the thing is that they're
Oh, okay.
implying is they always have sex with the lights on, and he turned it off, so that was the last straw.
Okay, because I would assume maybe he also had a bent carrot. And maybe that's why he wanted the lights off.
Let's do a
Oh my God.
merger of the two commercials.
Wait, why can I not find this fucking commercial? Like, XIA. Because I have to link it but I wonder if they're just doing it on like, they're not posting it on YouTube, because it's truly bad. But I do have to say, we need to increase the caliber of like our expectations for commercials on streaming. These are not YouTube ads. This is a commercial. I'm watching this on my large television, and I shouldn't be getting ones for like fucking DraftKings with Dave Portnoy filmed vertically with a sunburn. Oh my God.
There's really
I
bad
hate it.
ads on streaming. All the ones for
Oh my God, it's so bad.
what's that chicken strip place that people like to eat at that I think is absolutely disgusting?
Local?
It's a chain, but they have them here. Canes. They have the worst commercials.
Yeah, that's one we just.
And they'll have like celebrity athletes in it, but it was a commercial filmed on an iPhone that's 5 years old with the worst, that they included the sound from the phone and not external sound. And it's just like in an empty location. What are we doing?
No, like a YouTube ad read or a podcast ad read should never be a commercial. That's not. That's not a commercial level, and it just makes me like.
But then they're also faking podcast ad reads too, where they make it look like it's a podcast ad, but it's not.
It's just like I don't know when our standards went like down the drain. I'm blaming sports betting, because like they have made the worst ads I've like quite literally ever seen. Like, they are so low budget, so bad, and I'm like, you're asking people to like get hooked on the most detrimental and addictive addiction, and you're not going to put money behind your ads. You're going to ask for their money and their life and their souls and their families and like everything about their sanity, their 401k, and you're not even going to invest in a fucking studio light. Like, what? We're filming this with a front-facing camera. It makes me so mad. But I can't find this ad, but if I do.
What's that mobile app? King's
Crush.
You know who I'm talking about. King's like,
no, I do.
No. Royal.
Yep,
that one.
No.
There's an AI one now that is this couple that is like arguing, where I think the girl thinks that the boy is cheating on her, but like he's playing this game, and so like they try to make it look like it's real people, but it's literally AI, and it's so bad. The voiceover is so bad for it. I'm like, go back to doing where you hired the same 5 actors that have never acted on anything else, and just do that.
And you made them do a cameo of it. Yeah, they were they were literally buying cameos and had them endorse it that way. But like, also, I don't love Scopely, for all of the Monopoly Go things. Those are high quality ads.
Those are very high quality ads. They now
very
have
high quality ads.
They now have a game on Fire TV.
Oh, but I think like if you're gonna hire Keke Palmer,
I clicked on it, it didn't load, but the ad was very, very high quality.
Yes,
those
there
Monopoly
you go.
ads are great. They partner with big companies.
And like put the fucking money in, but like I just think it's insulting to ask me to spend money when you're like, I don't think it's worth it for me to. I don't think our product is like worth a lighting setup. I don't think it's worth any of that. Like, and you're so dumb, you'll just spend your money on it. Fucked up. Well, I cannot find this fucking commercial. I'm gonna have to like record my TV the next time I see it.
Please do.
It's crazy.
All right. Well, that's our episode. As you know, we are going on if you've been listening, we're going on a little break for the summer because we've both got trips coming up. So still write in. Let us know what's happening, and we'll be back in a few weeks. But we'll still have old episodes in the feed, so listen to those if you're, you still want to hear us. And we've got a new episode of But Am I Watching coming up this week as well for The Invite.
Hell yeah.
And if you didn't watch last week for Office Romance, both Coco and Anthony watched it and they absolutely loved it. They're like, why am I laughing so much in this film?
Yeah, it truly catches you by surprise. And I have been thinking about it and laughing all week.
See, you were mad at me at the beginning of last week's episode. You told me I'd pay for my crimes, but I stood by 10 toes down and said, this is a great movie.
I do think that we are officially even because I know the movie that we watched this week, by my suggestion, you went in blind, and my first thought getting out of that movie is what a movie to go in blind to.
I actually didn't go in blind because they played an ad. They played a trailer before one movie I saw, so I already knew.
Oh, okay, because I was gonna say, like, this to me, like, going in blind to this movie is probably exactly how I felt going in blind to the Office Romance movie.
And I'll say, spoiler alert, it's a perfect movie that's coming up.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So join us on Thursday for The Invite on But Am I Watching? Bye.
Bye. This is a Sister Sign production hosted by me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa D. Montz, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production by Coco Lorenz.
Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
And music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.